Hey, folks. So we've got a pretty concise show today because why not? It's Friday night. Y'all want to be out doing your things and watching TV and some really cool stuff that came out streaming today. So we're going to talk about one news story, Kickstarter that's out there. And we're going to talk about kink and comics and kink, however you want to put that. All right. You ready? Let's cool. Let's cool. That's not what they say. That's not what anyone says. Oh, you ready? Cool. Let's go. Hey folks, what's up? It is the Hungry Bleak Show. I am Antonio Pomares, aka the Hungry Bleak. Let all that exhale out. Exhale all that whatever's going on in the week. Let's exhale that out. Let's have a bit of a fun show. Well, we've had a great week. We're going to get into it and start with some comic book news. Cool. So, comic book news that's happening, story that really hit me that was interesting was the Energon universe is getting an animated series, more of an adult type of animated series on the lines of Invincible. This is reported by Deadline, which I think is very cool. I love that more and more geek related stuff, comic book related stuff, adaptation, anything like Geek Center is becoming not just geek culture, but is also just being reported a lot more by the mainstream because it's there. It's taken over a lot. I attribute that a lot, truthfully, to Marvel. Say what you want, but Marvel, MCU, huge. That first arc and everything they do is still huge, but that first arc was really knocking it out. So now a lot more like mainstream places are talking about it. So yes, this is going to be Energon Universe. If you know, Skybound Comics, um, Skybound Entertainment, I guess I should say, has been doing the Energon Universe, which is a mix of GI Joe, Transformers, and a new series called Void Rivals. Void Rivals is the one that really started off because in the first issue, probably about maybe 10 pages or something like that, you see the wreckage of a ship, and the ship looks familiar. If you're a fan, the ship looks familiar. You're like, why is that ship there? What is that? Is that then the ship actually transforms into robot form? And I was left like, oh, so they didn't even wait to throw it. I didn't realize Void Rivals could be a part of that whole universe. Knocked me off my ass. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is pretty cool. So this is gonna be Energy Universe adult animated series based on comic from Hasbro and Skybound with Joe Henderson as showrunner, hitting TV Marketplace. So this is kind of just in the early stages of development. I think this is great. This is something that I've wanted for a while because I would love to see a more updated GI Joe series and Transformers. Truthfully, the last GI Joe thing that I can think of that I was into was maybe Renegades. Before that was Sigma Six, and then there was like I think it was like a 90-minute movie called GI Joe Resolute, where they I think that was like the most mature GI Joe thing that they've done because they were killing people in that. Like I think spoiler. I mean, it's not really spoiler. This is from like early 2000s, uh, or maybe the mid 2000s or 2010s. I don't know. It was around that time. Within like the first, I think 20 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that. Um, Bazooka dies, Major Blood dies, like legitimately. So that's the closest thing that I think that they've gotten to doing something like that. But I'd love to see what they do with, especially with the Energon universe being so huge. It's another universe along with X-Men that I want to get into, but there's so much. Every 5 minutes there's a new comic coming out. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. But I'm glad that there's going to be something new coming out from Skybound, which is an imprint of Image. And I think this is awesome. Skybound Entertainment does some incredible comics, incredible work. So this should be really, really fun um, to see and how this develops. I'd be very interested to see how this develops and what platform it's going to be on. I don't know what platform it's going to be on yet. Like I said, it's still in the early developments. But even the people that they have a part of it, Obviously Robert Kirkman. I mean, Skybound is like his baby. And Joe Henderson, who did Lucifer, Lucifer series, which was on Fox TV, then went over to Netflix as a streaming season, as a streaming base for I think it was 2 seasons, something like that. So this is going to be very cool. This will be a big boost to Skybound, obviously, the same way that The Walking Dead, Invincible have been, and this is a huge property, and for it to be geared more towards adult um, viewers or more mature viewers. Well, sometimes adult doesn't mean mature. Let's be honest. You've seen what I do sometimes. I'm an adult technically, and I'm not mature all the time. So I'm excited to see what happens with this. So yeah, keep an eye on this one. This is a big move, and this can be a very big thing to happen, similar to uh, Iyanu from Unique Studios. This to me is in the same vein as that. These are two big properties being made into animated. And you see the success that Iyanu had, not just for Unique, but also for HBO Max and Cartoon Network. That first season then ended up being renewed for a second season and getting two spin-off animated feature length films. Crazy work. So yeah, I'm all for this. Keep an eye out for that one. And if you can, go and read the comics. They're really good. I've read a few issues of Transformers, a few issues of G.I. Joe, and a couple of issues of Void Rivals. And it's really awesome. I need to just start from scratch and go from House of Ten. And yeah, so that's it for comic book news. Like I said, short. And we've got a Kickstarter to talk about. Excuse me. This is from one of the people who I always enjoy seeing at shows, and they've been working hard on the Kickstarter. And he's just a great guy in general. Excuse me, and Stephen Harris. And whenever I see his art, I get happy because it's so awesome and it's cool. And there's a Kickstarter out right now for Indigo Clan Book One, the Trade Collection. This is really cool. I've read some of the first issue. Like I'm behind on every damn thing, truthfully, folks. But you have 12 days left to pledge for this. Please do. This is, I mean, this is a really just first off, look at the scope of it, everything. This is going to be a collection of the series so far, and what is these mystical warriors that are trying to bring about light to the world. But the thing that gets me about this is the cast of characters are from all over. It is an incredible array of different skin colors and just different people, which I love the look of. Um, the First off, and Steven, his art always gets me, and I know I'm going to see at least probably 3 backflips in here. And I love when he does it. He makes me wish I could do a backflip, just so he could draw me doing a backflip. I can't. It's not going to work out. So let's give you the setup for. Set in the modern world, Indigo Clan it unfolds in a reality much like our own, where spiritual realms overlap with city streets. Inspired by real experiences of awakening, the story explores the battle between demonic forces, government corruption, and a rising movement of indigos, people whose powers mirror real world abilities like energy healing, intuition, and extrasensory perception, or ESP. I love that fact of having something like that. I always like mystical, supernatural kind of fantasy, where it's also mixed into modern day world and how the conflict of a modern day world and technology and the government conflict with that supernatural, mystical kind of vibe as well. I always love stories like that, and it's just check out the art. The art is just oh god, yes, this is yes, yes. Look at the absolutely. I'm absolutely loving this. But like I said, I wanted to show you the cast. We have Diva, who's from Oakland. Devil, who's from Oakland. Then we have Ansel, I want to say from Cuba. Then we have Yamaya, who's from Mexico. Then we have Horatio, who's from Brazil. And we have Oyana, who's from India. You have Koya, who's from Samoa. You have Sakala, who's from Colombia. The hips do not lie, Lord. And then you have Flux, who's from New York. And then you have the Reptids, who are the demonic forces, and Seth Ivis, completely butchering that. I absolutely love. First off, I love the character designs. And I love, like I said, the different. First off, you got a Samoan character in there. People are not trying to put Samoan characters and stuff, and I think that's ridiculous. Put more Samoans in comics for real. The heritage, the vibe, the flow, the beauty is just stacked high, truthfully. But seeing the different skin tones, I love the fact that there are people from areas like India, and the person's a dark skinned Indian. We don't see a lot of that. Usually, when TV shows or movie or Hollywood does something like that, or even like comics, it's always a lighter skinned Indian person. It's never the darker skin, and there are dark skinned people out there. Like my man from Brazil. Yes, absolutely. Getting it in. Are those Chucks? No, but they're nice. I love that flow and a vibe. Yes, absolutely. Go and get in. This is going to be a fun one. So, yeah, basically the tagline is Diva, a young black woman and chakra prodigy from Oakland, races to awaken ancient portals of light before darkness conquers humanity. We need them portals of light like yesterday, ASAP in the real world. So please go and check out Indigo Clan Book One trade collection. This is on Kickstarter. You have 12 days. They're almost there. They're over halfway there, which is awesome. I think this might be considered 70%. I don't know. I was never good at math, folks. But I love this, and they're going to get funded. I'm speaking into existence right now. They're going to be funded. You're going to have a lot of cool covers, arts, everything. At a certain point, it's going to be funded so much. At a later date, they're going to have a hardcover. That's what I'm saying right now. They're going to have a hardcover of this. That's what I'm saying. They're going to have it. So go with it. So that's outstanding from them. So so that's the Kickstarters. I don't have any comic book reviews, but you know what I wanted to talk about? Comics and kink. Yes, absolutely yes. There's always been a nice I don't know why I said nice like that. There's always been this kind of overlap between geek culture, kink, and fetishes. They blend very well together. If you love to cosplay, you can cosplay or role play. Perfect time to say, hey, I'm going to be Miles and you be Gwen. Role play like that. I'll be Darth Vader and you be She-Ra. I don't know what you into. That's on you. That actually doesn't sound. Anyway, so I figured for October, because it is National Kink Month, happy National Kink Month to everyone. Hope your safe word is one that you can remember, obviously. It's always cool to me to see that. And even when I go to New York Comic Con, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, I could totally see this here. And the way everything intersects is beautiful. But in comics, it's really cool because you're able to do things that you may not have been able to do in a movie or such like that. You have more control of the scenes and of the storyline, and you can flesh it out more. The characters, the actual kink itself, even too, you can flesh out more to make it um more understandable to people who may just go, oh, that's whatever, yada yada. But no, this is what it is actually, and then here's the beauty of it. It's what I love. You have you have so many comics that actually dive into things like that. I think I talked about some of them last year, but I'm going to talk about a couple of them again, and a couple of new ones that I actually got to read this year, which I was late on, obviously. Is you have comics like what the hell? You have comics like Vinyl. Vinyl is one of I think they call it the Materials trilogy, where it's plastic, vinyl, and plush. But I didn't realize that the comic that I started reading, which is I'm a fashion, what is it? I'm a fashion school serial killer, I think it is. It centers on a character named Rennie, and Rennie is actually in Vinyl. Vinyl basically is the story of this older serial killer and an FBI agent, and how they older serial killer, very nice, affable man. He's very nice. You wouldn't even know. Um, and how he's being investigated by this FBI agent who wants to take him in, arrest him, and with all the time they spend together, he starts thinking that he's his best friend. Also turns out that this older man, Walter, has Alzheimer's. And the only thing that really keeps him connected, that keeps his memories there, are music. So he can actually place a song to one of his slayings. This actually has a certain kink of music and of how it can make you feel, how it can make you alive. And there are some people who like music in certain ways, what have you. I think that's the thing with this one. Also, the vinyl aspect. He particularly went after people who had vinyl and that their music was good, the choices that they had. Again, it's a very darkly funny comic. This is from, I want to say this is from Doug Wagner, I believe. I should know the names of these people now because I've read this whole trilogy, and it's phenomenal. It's really great. Yeah, Doug Wagner and Daniel Hillard, and it just has this feeling of that. These three comics are pretty much about like kink because there's Plush, which I'm not sure. I don't think I talked about this last year. But Plush is about these serial killers, cannibalistic serial killers. Yes, all three of these comics are about serial killers. They're cannibals and they're also furries. And the lead character goes to this party after his ex-fiance is pregnant by one of the sheriff's deputies. So he goes, okay, forget it. I'm going to this. I don't want to be bothered. And his best friend's like, hey, man, come to this party. And he's like, well, what's the party about? It's like, well, it's furries, man. It's going to be fun. And he's like, I'm not a furry. He's like, nah, just don't worry about it. Come on. I don't have a costume. I got an extra costume for you. Go to they go to the party, and it's a party of furries. It's big, like, I think they had like a whole like hotel floor or something like that, or like convention, something like that. And the lead character goes outside. He's like, you know what? I'm just gonna chill, need some air, and he witnesses a murder, and it goes from there. And how it becomes, yeah, it's about this furry, but it also becomes somewhat of a love story too, and a story about him just getting himself back and finding out who he truly is, which is awesome. Um, Vinyl similar to that, where again it's about serial killers, and it's about the serial killer and the FBI agent, and the FBI agent is kidnapped by the mother of one of his arrests from years ago, and Walter has to assemble a team of four serial killers. So they go in almost like a serial killer um, spec ops team. Just weird to even think about, not to actually say it out loud. But again, they're darkly comedic, and obviously there's layers to the humor in there. If you don't like blood and gore, or if you're not into those types of stories, then you don't have to. But then there are other ones that are um, a little more nuanced, slightly. There's a character, Moon Knight. Moon Knight's one of my favorite characters. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Moon Knight has a bit of a kink for getting beat up, because that's pretty much how he fights. Is like he'll let you beat him up at first, and then he'll go in, and it's almost like his way of having um, a penance for the things that he did when he was younger as a mercenary. But I think in a way he kind of likes it too. Not gonna lie, I'm not gonna kink shame him because he's one of my favorite characters. But I love that. I love how you can look at comics and maybe see like a little bit of a kink, a little bit of a nuance of fetish in there from characters that you loved for longest time. Moon Knight from this series with Jed McKay, which has been phenomenal. It's my go-to. It's my like comfort read, but it's also one that I read monthly. And when it comes out, excuse me, it's maybe my second or third comic that I read. Like second or first second comic that I read, depending on what comes out. But it's one that keeps me going. But I like the fact that there's a little something there. Think about it like this: his white suit is his vestments, and he likes to be, and he likes to get in, go out, have fun, and beating up people, what have you, in those vestments. And he kind of does get into it a little bit. I'm gonna be real, and I think he does kind of get turned on by it. There's a new comic that came out called Marian Heretic. I heard about it I heard about it I think a couple weeks before NYCC, but then I went to New York Comic Con, and I was at the Boom panel, the 20th anniversary. Congratulations, Boom! And this comic, they showed more of it, and Teenie Howard was there. She's the a writer creator, and it's definitely got it's a nun who goes after demonic forces from the church, but you can definitely tell this is look you. There's a little subtext. Maybe not so much of subtext, but it's a sexy nun. There's a kink there as well. There's a kink there as well. And that nun in the costume with the boobs are out. Yes, there are a lot of comics that have the little, maybe some are a little more overtly, obviously, some are a little more subtle, but that's the beauty of it, is you have so many different things like that. Then you have a comic that's a little more outright, even though I do enjoy Marian Heretic because I actually like the idea of a nun, a warrior nun, going after demonic things, and then knowing the history of the comic and her being a heretic. And there's actually a a whole group of them, a convent. I almost said coven, but the coven are the witches because they go after demonic forces and witches mostly. But there's actually a coven of these nuns, and Marion just happens to be their lead one. But then you have comics that are a little more overtly out there with it, which I absolutely love. And I think you all know which comic I'm going to mention when I actually do say it, which is Sunstone. Sunstone is like the one that I know really got a lot of people talking because of how beautiful it is. This is Stedgepan Cedric. Hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. You're one of my favorites. You're a phenomenal storyteller. But it's also this one hits a spot with me because during the pandemic, when nobody knew what was happening, I think it was in maybe the first couple of months or so of the pandemic, we didn't know what was happening. We didn't know if we'd ever be able to go outside. We didn't know if we have to go outside in bubbles. We had no idea what the hell was going on. I remember there being a post on Facebook, I want to say, where Stage Fan was like, tell you to help, entertain people. He was like, look, every volume he had I think it was a Dropbox or iCloud, some type of like cloud storage, where he put up a link. He's like, look, here's every copy of Sunstone. Go ahead, get it, entertain yourselves, have fun. That to me was one of the most selfless and beautiful things during a time when we had no idea what the hell was going to happen to us. To give your comic to everyone and say, hey, check this out. And it was beautiful to do. A comic that was filled with love and humor, fantastic art, wonderful storytelling, and yes, some kink. And it's like a romantic comedy BDSM comic. Absolutely go with that. From Sunstone, there's also Swing, which is a, uh, a spinoff of it. Then after that, there's also Fine Print, which is Fine Print 1 and 2. There's actually a second volume now since I last talked about it. There, which is that. There's also Unnatural, which is from Mirka Adolfo, who does amazing work. I love her art, whether it's sensual or horror. She does both incredibly well. Um, and we have can't show too much of this one. This one definitely a kink because it's anthropomorphic. So this could actually go into kind of furries role play. But it's also a tale of it's a tale of going against the system and how government will tell you you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't be gay, you can't be bi, you have to be straight. You have to find a partner at a certain amount. You can't mix, like different species can't mix in this comic. Um, Even that in itself is crazy, but I love the way that they're able to tie it in, even though you would think, oh, it's kind of comical because it's, you know, um, anthropomorphic. I'm gonna butcher that word every time I say characters. It still is very, it's comedic, obviously. Still can be sensual. You can still enjoy it, and maybe it'll fulfill a kink for you. You and your partner or partners will do stuff. I don't know. Then you have a comic that's a little more serious in it and gets a little more deal, but it still is like kind of geek centric. Excuse me, kink centric with safe sex. This one is so relevant today, where it's basically a comic about sex workers and going against the system in the near future world where things are outlawed, and you have to go to certain clubs and, you know, to be safe and to do these things that you like to do and that you want to do. And it's crazy. I think even in this comic, at a certain point, you have to requisition to have sex, which is, and I think you get like two times or something like that. Then you have to requisition again. That's crazy. But this is the comics like this matter. They matter so much because they show us that the world is crazy and it's getting wilder every week with the people that we have who are in charge of running things. So when you're able to read a comic and it feels comfortable and safe to you because it talks about your particular kink or fetish, or if it's opening your mind up to something else, or if it's a way for you to relate why you like something, and maybe you can't use the words properly to say to communicate why you do. So maybe your partner's in the comics and you go, oh well, I like this, but read this comic. Maybe it'll explain a little bit more why how I can explain to you. Maybe it'll tell you why. When you read it, you'll realize why I like to do X, Y, and Z. I don't know. But look, folks, I'm not going to judge you for your kink. I got stuff that I like that I am, you know, I'm sure there are people who aren't going to like it. And, you know, as long as you are all consenting, of, you know, consenting adults, and you're communicating and you're enjoying yourselves, and it's cool, it's love, it's all there, it's beautiful. Now, if you can do all that and plus read some comics that are about what you like and what you get into, and you can identify with the characters even more, that makes it even more special. And I love it. There are a plethora. But uh, Byron Kennedy was telling me about a woman, what was, Vanita, Vanetta, excuse me, Vanetta. I want to say Vanetta Berry, and she has one out called Freaky Tales, which I have to really check out and dig into. Um, you know, there's just so much out there. It's baffling, it's mind blowing, and it's fun. And that's all I can say. So whether you are gonna read about vampires, which is a kink all on its own, let's be honest with you, or whether you are reading something like Safe Sex, which is really out there and is so pro sex and pro love and pro, uh, excuse me, folks, enjoying yourself, or whether it is one like Wonder Woman. We all know the history of Wonder Woman and her origin. Come on now, you know, or whether you're going with something a little more comical like Sunstone, or Unnatural, where it's a little more fantasy, or you're going into fine print and you're just enjoying the hell out of it, or you're going from Sunstone to Swing, enjoying that, whatever it is, enjoy the comic, enjoy your kink, enjoy your partners or partners, enjoy all the beautiful times that you have and consensual, and the beauty of it. It's great. It's awesome. You know, there's a horror one. Um, there's a horror one called Lovesick. Yeah, Lovesick. There's also another one by Mirka Adolfo. Trying to look up now. Mirka Adolfo Mercy. Mercy was like this Western horror sex positive comic. Like there's a scene in it where it's a Western, so there's a brothel cat house, and there's a sex worker who's pleasing two men at once. You know, one on the bottom, one on top. I believe is how they were doing it. I think something like that. There's so much beauty out there that you can do with this stuff. I want you to have fun with it. There's Lawful Evil from Rashawn Rogers, which deals with superheroes and the relationships they have and the sex. Yes, yes, this is yes. I'm down for this stuff because it's cool, it's great, it's awesome, and we need it. Comics are a storytelling medium. Let's tell these stories too. Let's get sexy with it. Let's get um, uh, representation to it. Let's show off some more kinks and fetishes and normalize them. For those crowds. Obviously, we still have comics that will be that will go non-sexual, but I like when a comic has something like that and it's centered but not the whole story. It's not all sex, it's an actual story there. Hit Me was great, where it talked about a sex worker who her specialty was BDSM and really the rough stuff. But then it became this murder mystery. So it was a sex worker trying to figure out this murder mystery, and it wasn't like her being like this damsel in distress. She was smart, clever, quick wit, uh, clever, and she was doing it. But she also did have someone there who was training her in martial arts, who was also her bodyguard, who would help her, and he was in love with her. And she openly would say, "You don't want this because what I'm into, you can't handle." Even things like that, and that honesty there, which I love. So, on that note, folks, look, go out, get you some comics, enjoy them. If you want some comics with kink in them, they are out there. They are plentiful. There's sci-fi, there's horror, there's comedy, there's rom-com, there's murder mystery that also will have a kink or fetish center in them. Do it. Go with it. It's cool. All right. So yes, today is a short day because why not? I'm short, so let's go. That's why I haven't even had tea. Excuse me, folks. I do apologize. You already know what I'm going to say. I'm up every morning way too early. So, on that note, you have a very good evening. Enjoy the rest of it. Be safe. Next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, TBA News. Me and the crew will be talking about horror. It's been 2025 has been a great year for horror. We're going to talk about some of the great offerings from this year and some of our favorite classics too, which are out there. All right. So, y'all have a very good one. Enjoy the rest of it. Be safe. Drink your water. And as always, F Trump. And I'll see you later. All right. Peace.